some rain must fall if I'm to ever grow. I know that.
Hello, this is Keziah with Healing with Keziah. I had to come with, I got to get me a theme song for this channel. Welcome, you guys, all that are new to this channel. Welcome. I appreciate you coming in and allowing us to work together on our shadow work. Oh, let me put this in the container. This is the spiritual healing incense. I like to use incense while I am over on this channel. Just to burn. I've already smudged this morning. This is what I'm burning now. You can get these on Healthy Exchange as well, guys, okay? Sorry. But yeah, I'm burning that spiritual healing because that's what we're ready to discuss. Hello, Healing with Keziah. We get ready to get started, okay? So if you're not new, welcome back. If you watched the first episode, great. You know, hopefully you took the question that I left us with the last time when I had the mouth and I looked a little down and the situation was rough that I had going on. Hopefully you took that and you started using, you know, sitting with yourself and started really journaling and really thinking about the question that I asked. And we're going to get into that. Let me put up my tuning fork. I actually was using this prior to coming on to raise my vibrations a little bit, right? So I do use a lot of different divination tools that my spiritual, I feel like she's my spiritual advisor or teacher because she gives us so many different things to utilize and, you know, how to work with our guides and ancestors and so forth. But that's one of my tools. I'm also going to get and do us, I'm just going to do a 3, what do you call them? Segments or sessions. Just going to tap it 3 times for the healing on the healing bowl, because this is all about our emotional healing. We're going to tap into talking about a little bit of Chiron, which is in your natal chart. If you don't know what I'm talking about, and the reason why we're going to discuss it, because it goes with what's happening right now, which is the full moon, which is today. I'm going live on All in the Cards today as well. So if you catch this prior to the live, come on over to All in the Cards. I'm going to try to be there around 12-ish, noonish, because I'm cooking my Sunday dinner. You guys know I love to cook. That's a part of what I love to do, okay? Which is hereditary. My mama loved to cook. My grandma cooked. You know, my aunts, everybody. But let me not digress on that. Back to our healing, right? So just going over a couple things that we're going to do during this video, okay? I'm happy that you made it and that you're here, and we're going to get going, deep diving. You know, I'm chipper and happy, high vibrational, have a lot of things going on that are great, but we also have to tap back into what wasn't great at one time, or if you're still going through those things, okay? So you know, it may get a little low, but we have to bring ourselves back up as well, okay? And remember how far you've come, or how far you're going to be going, okay? Or what you're overcome, and what you will overcome, okay? All right, so let me get the healing sound bowl. We're going to do those 3 bell rings and sounds just to open us up, right? That's just to align us in reference of our heart chakra, right? And we're going to start on that first, and then we're going to deep dive into the question that we left from the last episode. We're going to touch a little bit on that. We're not going to spend too much time on that, because that's a part of you doing the work, right? I can't do the work for you. I can just guide you based off of what I've been doing. Of course, I've been doing a lot, okay? I don't just talk it, I do it, right? So, okay, hold on one moment. Let me get the bowl, okay, guys? Ooh, I didn't mean to hit the table. Okay, let's see here. I have so many different things in my room now. I'm so excited about that. And I better turn on some air in here, because this thing got a little warm in this room. This room always gets hot. And this used to be my son's room. And he said, I told you this room used to always be so hot. I said, yeah, you was right. Because it does get warm in here, honey. And then when I do my spiritual work and channeling and so forth, I get warm anyway. So that's just a part of, you know, everything that goes on. I also have a book to recommend at the end, guys. I got some good things for this episode. So let's get into our sound therapy this morning. Okay, go ahead and start us off, and then we'll get into some good things, and that's going to help us. Okay, may not be exciting, but it's going to help us. Okay, here we go. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, hold it. Out through your mouth. I hope you received that, because I definitely received it. And that is just to calm our mind from the beginning and to open our heart chakra, okay? While we get started on healing our heart chakra as well with these emotions that we're going through, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna sit the bowl right here, and I'll get it in a few once I get done with the reading. I mean the shadow work session. All right. So for those who did get to look at the last video, if you didn't, please go back, and because that one actually explains what shadow work is. If you don't know, if you're a beginner, I met a couple of people. I had Reiki training. I am now a Reiki first and second degree certified. Okay, so I will be having Reiki sessions probably later on in the channel, because I'm still practicing. I want to continue to get my feet wet, right, before I do deep dive. And I do plan on doing the Reiki Master as well. So yeah, okay, so that'll be another part of our healing that will allow us to all be able to get together and work on our healing in a different way, okay? But for today, right, we're going to tap back into the question that I left you with, which was, who am I? My shadow self. Who is my shadow self, right? So you were to write down, you know, who do you think, or what do you think is a part of your shadow self? Whether you feel like you do have an ego, right? You know, I put on here the dark side of Keisha, okay? Because, you know, as my spiritual self, I have consumed the name Keziah, if you guys did not know, right? That speaks to my soul, right? Because as I've been studying and reading and listening to different spiritualists and gathering knowledge, right? You know, that is stated, right? Because the name that is given is our name that we do not know, the name that we come in this world with, in reference of our traumatic situations. That name is attached to as well. Our lower selves, right? Our shadow, okay? You know, I feel like my shadow is Keisha, right? Because it's all me. It's all me. Don't get it twisted, okay? But I feel like my highest self is Keziah, okay? The blessing from God, okay? But anywho, not to digress on that, but I just wanted to give you guys an explanation if you've seen my name different and, you know, and that type of stuff. But I'm also going back to the first question that we were left with in the first video. Who is my shadow self? Like I just said, Keisha, right? My shadow self, I feel like I have recognized my shadow self from my childhood, right? So, you know, I put down, I'm just going to give you guys a few because I don't want to give you all, right? You got to do your own shadow stuff, right? So this is a guidance. It's not to do it for you, okay? This is just a guidance, right? On what I've been doing, what I've written down, right? You know, going through the things that I've done, you know, doing my research, you know, continuously working on me when I'm by myself, because that's what I ask that you do. That's why I told you guys to get your journal in the first one, so you'll have your stuff, you know, to be able to write after we get done with this video, right? Because healing is a process, okay? But I just put down in reference of recognizing my shadow self and the things that are within my shadow self. I put fearful, selfish, right? Angry, okay? Fearful, angry, always worrying, some bit judgmental, right? And those are what I'm gonna leave you guys with. I have many more, okay? But of me recognizing my shadow self, also an ego, right? That I am shedding with Keisha, right? And picking up my life now as Keziah, as the conscious person that I am now, and able to live life more righteously, right? So that kind of is where I left that question of who I am. But I also went into detail of under that is how to overcome these things of what I see as my shadow self. So that's the part that I listed under it. And I think I may have said that in the video, but if not, hopefully you wrote something under there or beside it, maybe like your pros and cons. Remember, I may have mentioned that too. But if not, you were able to recognize in that first video who your shadow self is. You know, all the things that we don't pretty much like about ourselves or that we suppress, because I also wrote that. That's why it ties into what we're going to discuss with this full moon that's here, that's giving us this Chiron energy. But the full moon is in Aries, okay? But Chiron is in Aries as well, okay? So that gives us a lot of things to talk about. And at this time is a good time to do your shadow work because it is the emotional driven, right, time right now in reference of the energy, the planetary energy that's here, the way the planetary alignment is at this time with Chiron is ruled by Mars. So yeah, okay, and Mars plays a huge part. But I wrote me some notes, so I'm going to talk about Chiron, but I wanted to tap back into what we left off with towards the last video, right? So if you wrote in your journal the things that you see as your dark side or your shadow side, now you recognized it. That's step one in your healing, right? And when you seen it on paper, you thought about all those memories, the childhood situations, things that made you feel that way, things that have made you have that anger, right? Because I have angry down here. It's my dark side. Like I said, fearful, right? So that allows you to know thyself, right? When you wrote that down, you seen it on paper. It's a different thing when you write it down and you see it on paper, right? When you write it down and you see it on paper, you like, okay, yeah, I got a lot going on, right? But neither here nor there, it's time for us to work on it, right? So a couple of things that I actually had that goes back to how to overcome some of those things that we recognize as being our shadow self. The first thing that I discussed with you guys for myself was being fearful. And then I said how to overcome those things underneath of it. And I just said, work on not being fearful of success. And really think about why I am fearful of success. As well as fearful in my finances and stuff like that, right? Why are you fearful in your finances? I'm just giving you things to write out and think about based off of what we talked about in the last video. And I'm gonna finish this up because we already at 14 minutes and I got to discuss Chiron, okay? How we're gonna use Chiron energy to help us tap into our situations we're going through today. So we're gonna tap into Chiron energy and really get our journal prompts from the Chiron, okay? Or from the full moon energy that we have here today, okay? But, so, yes, why am I fearful? Those are the things, and how to overcome them. I put down, like I said, have faith over fear, right? Trust my instinct, trust my guts, be truthful to myself, okay? And, that's just the start, don't lie to myself, right? Don't lie to myself, and you don't lie to yourself. Because I was listening to Brother Yosef, which I love him. He's so knowledgeable. Good God Almighty, that brother is knowledgeable. If you can check him out, check him out. He's on YouTube, but you really can tap into him. He's on Patreon as well. But that takes me into some of the things that he was talking about admit you're afraid when being honest with yourself, okay? So admit what you're afraid of, what is making you fearful, because fear projects a lot of things, but the fear comes from traumatic situations as well, right? So even with what I wrote down in reference of that fear, abandonment, right? The fear to lack, okay? That's where financial situations come into play, of lack, of not having prior and wanting to continue to have what I have now and more, so I won't go back to that lacking. But that goes back to faith over fear, because if you're spiritual, God and money, God got you. Okay, it's going to provide through all the energies, that you project out there. It's good. It's going to come back in reference of your good karma. Okay, that's the way I look at it. Okay. Also, money is the energy. Okay, so you have to change your mindset on money and the projective, your perspective of that. Okay, that's one thing I'm still working on, as well as I feel like others need to work on as well, right? Because of, people going through so many financial situations, including myself. Okay, so that's just some of the things that I started with in reference of what we left the last video on, which was, recognizing our shadow self. Who is that shadow? What is that shadow? Embracing that shadow, right? And really, really deep diving on all of the things that you wrote down to see, kind of see exactly how you can overcome those things, okay? It's not going to happen overnight, okay? It's not going to happen overnight. This is just the guide to get us started. This is that spark, okay? Because once you get started, you'll tap in and it'll start working for you. It's going to make you start thinking more. So this is kind of like how, what the brother Dan Calloway said, this is just to make you think, right? So, yeah, realize God is always with me and my ancestors is with me, and that I have them to ask help from as well, okay? So, these are just the things that I'm just telling you a little bit of. I'm not giving you guys all my info, okay? But, because you have to do your own, right? This is just, like I said, once again, to guide you, okay? So let's get into the Chiron, okay, which is the energy that is around us at this time. I'm not going to talk a lot about the full moon on this video, because this is on my shadow work, videos. This is all about healing with Keziah. But what we are going to use for this video is the Chiron energy to help us work through our emotional healing. So this one is an emotional healing video, okay? All right, So I've written some notes about Chiron, and I wanted to give you, if you knew in beginning, because I didn't know Chiron prior to pulling my natal chart. But I always tell you guys, if you've been following me on All in the Cards, you know I stress, get your natal chart, because that is going to help you to know thyself, okay? So if you don't have it, that's fine, but make sure you try to get it if if you can, right? Please. All you got to know is your date of birth, your time of birth, and where you were born, okay? That's all you got to know. And you can have your whole natal chart, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the chart of where we are right now. Yeah, so the moon is in Aries, but Chiron is in Aries as well. Okay, so Chiron. Okay, let's talk about Chiron and how we can utilize it in our lives, and what we are going to project our journal prompts towards, dealing with our Chiron around this energy that we have going on right now, because it's perfect for the full moon that we're working with now and the energy that is here, okay? So what I wrote down, and then I'm going to go over some of the things that are written out on the internet. And you can research and do these things, because that's a part of the shadow work, is you doing your own work. I can't do it for you. All I can do is be a guidance and show you what I've written, what I do on my times when I'm by myself and alone and doing my own spiritual work, okay? So that's what I'm giving you guys, okay? So even when I do my research and reference of, the different planetary alignments and stuff like that, because I'm still learning astrology, okay? Not a perfectionist at it, just learning through my experiences. That's all, that's all it takes. You ain't got to be no genius in any of this, okay? Nobody knows it all, okay? So that's why I'm here to tell you this, or to help you with this, or to make you conscious that we are all healing in our own way. It's no right and no wrong, okay? There's no right and no wrong, all right? It's all about overcoming, right? All right, so let's get to it, because you know me, I can get long-winded. We already at 20 minutes, okay? All right, I love y'all. Okay, so let's go. Chiron is the wounded healer, okay? Chiron is, is called the wounded healer. Is the planet of healing and acknowledgement of concealed trauma, okay? So listen to that again. Chiron, okay? The symbol looks like this, guys. See that? That's what I'm reading from. This is my little planetary. I think I gave y'all this. This app is called Time Passages. I suggest all of you get this, because this keeps you in the know of all the planets, what sign they're in, what degrees, and all of that. Right now we're in the 14 degrees of Chiron in Aries, okay? So it looks like the little K symbol with the little O under it, okay? And that's the Aries symbol, because that's what we in, okay? Planet of healing and acknowledgement of concealed trauma. Concealed, hidden, okay? Packed away, suppressed, right? Gone about life and forget about what happened to us, but we still have those things in our subconscious, right? All right. And spends anywhere from 2 to 8 years in each sign. Wow. So we have this Chiron and Aries. So you have plenty of time, not just because right now it's potent because the full moon is in Aries. That's why I'm pulling this up now for us to go ahead and start working with this Chiron. But it's going to be in Aries for 2 to 8 years, okay, in one sign. Okay, with Chiron in Aries, there are opportunities for humanity to grow in understanding of its deepest and most hidden traumas, especially those affecting the assertion of self in a higher way, or in dealing with challenging feelings regarding our own self-acceptance. Right? The level of progress that is possible now through individual action in concert with societal needs is extraordinary. You get that? Because what they're saying is, right now with the society that we're dealing with and all the intense energy, because the full moon is in Aries, we're going to discuss Aries energy in our live and stuff, and we're gonna get more into that, pulling cards and all of that over there on all in the card. That's why I say if you really want that type of readings and stuff like that, go to that channel, because this over here we discussing how to heal this right here, okay? Emotionally right now, okay? We'll get into more of our physical and our holistic and talking about our herbs and everything like that, right? So we're gonna get there. We got plenty of time, okay? We got plenty of time. So that's what Chiron is known for, okay? So that was the main definition off the site, right? Show it to y'all in depth. Okay, but I'm gonna go into what I wrote, which was the main things that stood out to me. Okay, these are from my specific notes, in my phone that I did myself in the middle of the night when I'm up researching and thinking and meditating and all of that. Okay, all right. So I said Chiron is the wounded healer. I said please find Chiron in your chart. Okay, research, because it is your superpower to healing the soul. Okay, that's what I wrote down last night. Find it in your natal chart, family, and know what yours is. Mine is Taurus, if anyone wants to know. Okay, mine is Taurus in the 7th house. Okay, I've been researching it. It goes with what I actually seen as my shadow self. Okay, and the problems that I've struggled with. Some of it comes from childhood, but some of it comes from just Chiron being in that sign of Taurus in the 7th house. Okay, but know yours. Okay, is it Chiron for you in Libra, or is it, that's my son, is Chiron for you in, Virgo, what is it? And research that, right? And I guarantee you, you can't make this up. I don't know why people say, I don't believe in zodiacs and astrology and all this stuff. Delusional is, I'm sorry to say, I don't mean no harm, but if you're on this channel, you probably already feel the same way. But yes, anywho, okay, I'm not gonna get too long-winded. But so yes, okay, so the other thing I have on here, Lord, I was doing my Reiki signs. I've been practicing my Reiki signs. Okay, back to my notes, okay? So let me repeat that. Chiron, find it in your natal chart, family. I just told you what mine is, my house and everything. So I've done my research as well, and I've already started, tapping into that energy. I suggest you do too. And it's all about this. It's your superpower, okay? Because it brings to your awareness what your struggles are, okay? And how you can utilize that to heal your soul while in this human experience, okay? Because it's going to bring you to see and know and be conscious of your flaws, of your triggers, of your anger, of the pain that you suppress, of the difficulties and the struggles that we hate to face, which equals to this shadow work that is needed, right? Because when you look at your Chiron, like I said, it's going to bring up all those different things, and you're probably going to be able to resonate with it instantly like I was. And I started writing it down, and breaking it out to see how I can overcome those things, okay? To help me heal my soul, my heart, to become aligned, right? And then I put on here, let me see. I put Chiron wounds are mainly past lives traumas or things that happened during your childhood years, okay? Some past trauma that may have been recent or in your 20s and 30s or however it may have came to your life. Everybody's different. But I see a lot of people dealing with things and struggling with life because they haven't got over things that happened in childhood. So Chiron is what you can utilize in reference to tapping into that and healing that part of your life. Okay, so that's why it's very important Okay, that's why I love that this full moon is in Aries and it's in the same sign as what Chiron is right now. So that's that intense energy. It's going to be very intense emotions right now for you. You know, you could be dealing with a lot of, you know, disagreements and arguments and difficulties and things happen in our society that you don't like, right? Which that probably possesses for all of us, okay? And then I have written down here, it usually is said to be a healing process born of our life's hard work to learn how to heal our natal Chiron wound. Okay? It says one that won't be quick and easy to do. It won't be quick and easy to do. That's why I said, now you have 2 to 8 years. Chiron is, I just read that to us. You got 2 to 8 years to work on this energy. That's what I said. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Okay. It's not easy for me. Okay. But which it holds the greatest reward. And once we succeed in it. Okay. So sometimes you have to work hard to get to what? Success. To the rewards under it. Right. That goes back to ancestor messages that is on the channel on All in the Card. If you didn't see that, family, that's a powerful message. Okay, multiple people contact me about that message. That's a powerful message because multiple of us that have been doing this spiritual work or is on getting onto this spiritual journey, Spirit is saying they see us, the Most High sees us working with us, knows that we're putting in the work, and it's the end of a cycle. And that touched my heart, honey. I got so emotional because that's exactly what I've been going through. But it says, through this, we are often then able to go on to heal others and become powerful teachers to help people heal their own wounds in turn, as we can now relate to their suffering. Now that is powerful. I think that's a part of my journey, family, and it may be a part of everyone that goes through this type of healing, because this is a part of emotional healing. Majority of our families, I know, in the indigenous tribes and families, and you know, we're not taught anything about emotional healing. We're not taught anything about healing, period. Okay, we just pack on the traumatic things over and over and over and over and think that we're supposed to still stay sane. It don't make no sense, family. You can't keep packing on trauma and traumatic things and never try to heal it. That's why we have these serial killers, lunatics, right? All this type of stuff going on with, you know, people out here shooting and killing in places, and we wondering why. These people aren't healing themselves. They're not tapping into that energy. They're not even spiritual. They're not even religious. Okay, take that, you know, whatever. You know, don't have a higher being that they recognize that can do things in their life. That's the bottom line. Okay. Still holding on to past trauma, or don't even recognize it, not even conscious to it. Okay. Back to what we're talking about though. But now with you going through this segment with me, it is a part of your journey in reference of passing it on, family. You know, as a spiritual person, you know that you got to continue to pass it on. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be out here making YouTube videos and teaching and going through all of that. But pass it on within your family. Pass it on with your sisters, your brothers, your mama, your daddy. You know, the close people to you, your friends, your co-workers, however you want to spend it. Helping one person is like pulling someone up. When you on that ladder, you know how you on the, you know how you see that image where you're on the ladder pulling someone up behind you to help them. That's what it's saying in reference of the Chiron healing that you could go through. You know, once you recognize that it's helping you, then you can help others through their sufferings as well. Okay. All right. So what else I have here? I said I have written the key. Oh, no. I want to go back up. The lesson of Chiron involves recognizing that we deal with or don't deal with our most buried wounds. Okay? So Chiron is all about those buried wounds. What is your buried wounds? Right? That's the question I want you to write down right now. What is your buried wounds? This is going to be the part that's going to hurt and sting a little bit, family, okay? It's going to bring a little triggers on because you're going to have to tap into the things that you don't want to think about. You don't want to discuss. You don't have to discuss it, but I do want you to think about it, and I want you to write it down, okay? Because writing it down is a form of release, okay? That's why we journal, okay? Okay. Often these are from our first interactions with life. Things that society then told us to hide because they are wrong or unacceptable, right? Because, you know, of course, they like, oh, you'll get over it, right? Society good about that. Oh, you'll get over it. Oh, you know, be strong. Be that strong woman. You're not supposed to be crying to the men. You're not supposed to be crying. You're not supposed to be showing emotion. Family. That's wrong. That is wrong. We've been taught wrong. We've been programmed wrong. There go that illusion again, right? The illusion pops up a lot because of how we were taught, the things that we were taught. You know, we took those things because of people who didn't know, right? We learned from people who didn't know about these things to help them. So how would they be able to teach us if they didn't know? Okay? So don't blame them because they didn't know. Your moms, your dads, your aunts, uncles, grandmas, big mama, all of them, right? All they knew how to do, some of them, is show you through maybe material things, through food, those type of things, right? I can laugh to it because I know that it's true, because that's the things that happen in my life as well. I told you guys, I'm an open book. I discussed exactly the things that went on with me too, okay? It's no hiding. It's not anything. This is where it's happening because we going through the healing over here, okay? But yes, so those are a part of those buried wounds because of them telling us it's unacceptable. Society as well as the family cultures that you may have been brought up in, right? Multiple cultures, you know, it doesn't have to just be indigenous melanated people. Different Native Americans, right? You know, Caucasians, right? I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, this channel sees no color. We just go by our soul. We're going by our soul, right? So this can go for anyone that was born on this earth, Kai, okay? That has a natal chart and is able to deep dive into your wounds, your buried wounds. Okay. All right. So the other thing I have written, it says, where Chiron appears in your area in which we feel self-conscious about, vulnerable, and ashamed of. That's where Chiron is going to bring out that energy. Look up the story behind Chiron. I'm not going to get into that, but there is a mythical, what do they call it? Mythology. There's a mythology behind the wounded healer and how Chiron came about, but I'm not going to get into all of that. I gave you the specific definition on how it's going to relate to us, okay? All right. You got to do your research too, right? All right. So yes, so Chiron is the area that is going to help with all of our vulnerabilities, the things we're ashamed of, the buried wounds, the traumatic things that we try to hide from ourselves as well as others. That goes back to what Brother Yusef stated about admit don't stop lying to yourself. Okay, I was listening to a few of his lectures and he brought that out, and I thought that was just profound to what this is. And I'm gonna read a little bit on some notes that I took from his lecture about that too, because it goes along with Chiron and being able to pull up those things that are not that we're ashamed of, that we buried, okay, that we don't want to face, okay. All right. And it says Chiron placement, your Chiron placement, okay, shines a light on our past hurts and emotional baggage. Chiron placement shines a light on our past hurts and our emotional baggage. So we talk about emotional healing. This is it. This is where you need to be. This is where this energy here is heightened. So at this time, it's going to be a little hard to face this, but you got to face it. Even if you got to sit in the mirror and write down, you know, cry, right? Do whatever you got to do to really pull up these triggers, these things that you know, society feels as flaws that are unacceptable, that are wrong about you. Okay? Maybe some things you've done in the past that you need to face, right? All about this Chiron energy, okay? Now, the key to healing the Chiron womb is not only learning to trust ourselves with whatever we feel is lacking, this is what I wrote, but to embrace our sensitivity and to find beauty in our imperfections. I'm going to repeat that. So the key and the solution to healing Chiron womb, okay, is to not only learn to trust ourselves. We have to trust ourselves, family. We have to remember we have that intuition, that gut, right? That gut intuition. We got to learn to trust it, trust ourselves, our decisions, staying on our 10 toes, and know that the Most High is here to work with you and for you, for your highest good. You got to trust that. You got to have faith over fear. Here we go. Back to that, right? And with whatever we feel is lacking in our life, right? But also embrace our sensitivities, things that you're sensitive about, embrace those things. That's also a superpower of yours. Don't let people make you feel like because you're sensitive to something that that's not right. No, you embrace your sensitivities and the beauties in your imperfections. Okay? When you are able to find the beauty in your imperfections, family, it changes your whole way of thinking, your whole perspective on life. I'm telling you. Okay? And going back to that, embracing our beauty in imperfection is embracing that shadow self. That shadow self that we wrote in the first episode about who is our shadow self. Embrace all those things. Remember, I told you that. Embrace those. Those are your imperfections. That's still you. That's still a part of you. Because guess what? It's that balance. Didn't I tell y'all about that balance? And we're in Libra season. So Libra season is also bringing that into play about the justice and the balance that we're going through. That's why all these emotions are coming up. That's why everybody is going through this whole healing segment. Shedding your skin. Coming through this cycle. Okay? The other thing I wrote down, it says, this is within my research, guys. In other words, this is not necessarily about getting over problems in these areas, but about recognizing our vulnerabilities and working with them and being honest and sustainable and holistic well-being, for our holistic well-being to be whole. This is what it is. It's not about having to repair and heal over these problems instantly, family. It's about recognizing so you'll be able to sustain and get back to your whole self, to get aligned, to be grounded again, to have your mental stability. Because if you don't have mental stability, everything else is going to go out the window, right? That's why I started with the healing bowl, to kind of calm us from the beginning, okay? And in turn, these will be your greatest spiritual teachers in your life. Once we are able to recognize this, once we are able to embrace our imperfections, embrace the shadow self, start writing these things down. I seen a bird just fly by really close to the window. Thank you, ancestors. Embrace the buried wounds. Write that down. Remember, we said, what is your buried wounds? Look through them. Cry through it. Embrace it, though. Understand and know that it happened for a reason. Because we're here to learn the lessons. The test that we went through is to bring us to this. So we know how to go through it. We know how to heal ourselves. If not heal ourselves, we recognize it. And we're able to give it out in reference of someone else, to be able to resonate with them. For you to be relatable through their sufferings. Maybe they can pull something from how you have dealt with it, or how you're coping with it, right? Because like it said, what I wrote down is, and I put in parentheses, getting over, right? In parentheses, it's not about it's not necessarily about getting over it, because you may not get over it, family. We're not, it's like I said, it's not all about love and light, and it's not all about you gonna forget it tomorrow either. It's not. I'm not saying that, okay? But what I am saying is about you recognizing that those are your triggers, your vulnerabilities, you know, working with those and being honest with yourself. Because going back to what I wrote with Brother Yusef's, the mantra that came up, every experience in my life helps me. That's what just came up on my phone. But what Brother Yusef's lecture spoke to me, and what I wanted to bring to you guys in reference of this Chiron energy, and he was talking about something different, but it resonated with me on how I felt about this energy that I was researching about Chiron. And once I was looking at my wounds and stuff like that, this spoke to me. So he said, and this is Brother Yusef, quote, admit when you're afraid, being honest with yourself so you can heal. He said, simple things in life we create blockages for is being afraid of success, being afraid of going back to our traumatic situations, and being afraid to tap into our spiritual self, our higher selves, okay? And staying in the low vibrational energy. He said, the more light that you go, or you come into, or you become of more light, the more darkness will come your way. So that means when you do start going through this healing process, family, the challenges, the test is going to start coming at you more and more and more. That's just to see if you really, really about that walking that walk, talking that talk, okay? So that's why I want you to understand, when he said this is what's resonated to me, because it's about going through this Chiron wounded healer experience, okay? And he said, get heart balance by being honest with yourself. It starts with you being honest with yourself, family. You got to be honest with yourself first. Because if you can't be honest with yourself first, you definitely ain't going to be honest with no one else in your life. Or you're going to be living a lie. Okay? So Spirit said, stop lying. Brother, and Spirit too. Spirit came out and said, yes. But stop lying to yourself, okay? He said, when you lie to yourself, you can't grow. Your flaws will make you perfect. He said, when you lie to yourself, you can't grow. But your flaws and your triggers are going to make you get to that perfect. It's going to bring you to the light once you start recognizing those your duality, right? Your polarities, right? It's all about those things I've discussed also on All in the Cards. It goes back to those. The duality within you. The light and the dark, right? He said, be honest about your flaws. Things you feel you can't do, you can overcome them and ascend. Admit it. All you got to do is admit it. You know, and if you can't speak it, write it. That's why I tell you guys about these journals, okay? He said, it's imperfection that causes the beauty. Ooh, when he said that went back to what we talked about, the imperfections, about the beauty in our imperfections, okay? He said, it's the imperfections, okay? So we all have imperfections. We're not perfect, okay? That causes the beauty in your soul. Those imperfections causes the beauties in your soul, okay? You have chosen to come to earth to go through the tests from past lives, your higher selves. Your past lives have chosen to come back, reincarnate. Go into that. I'm studying reincarnation as well, past lives and all of that. I want to know my past lives, you know, and understand that segment. Because once you get to that type of level, family, in your spiritual journey, then, you know, you're starting to really tap in and really try to understand this whole thing called life, okay? I digress on that, okay? I'm going to stick to it because everybody's not on that. And that's why I'm keeping it simple in reference of the Chiron energy, okay? But the last thing he was stating was unconditional love. Love yourself first. Self-love is the main key, family. Self-love is the main key, all right? So I'm not going to keep this too long because we're already 40 minutes into it. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the last aspects of what I have for our journal prompts based off of the Chiron energy that we discussed and everything of that sort. Don't forget to get your journals if you don't have one already, family. These are on healthyexchange.org. If you have your own journal, that's fine too. But if you need a journal, you don't have to get that one either. That's the Zodiac journals, which are the newer ones. We do have regular journals as well, okay? Check us out. The link will be below this box in the description box, okay, family? Now, the next things I have in reference of this energy, family, is the journal prompts, okay? So the journal prompts. Okay, the first one was, what is my buried wounds? Remember, we discussed that. That should be one of your first things you have written down in your journal. That's to tap into your buried wounds, which goes back to that Chiron energy, which is all about the buried trauma, the concealed. Didn't it say the concealed, which is hidden, right? Buried. Okay, so that's the first one. What do you feel has come to the end of a cycle for you? And if you haven't felt like anything has come to the end of a cycle, what can you start today to get to the end of the next cycle? Okay, so write that down. These are things you need to be, writing in your journal. This is a good day to do your shadow work for that. Okay, use these prompts. This is a full moon. Utilize that energy, Okay, what can you release or let go from the past that is no longer serving your current life today? Okay, what can you release or let go from the past that is no longer serving your current life today? Okay, and the last one is, what part of your past can you remember that brings negative feelings back up for you? Okay, what part of your past can you remember that brings negative feelings back up for you? Okay, if you can't remember it, write it down. Rewind it back, slow me down. There you go. Okay, those are your journal prompts. Now, the last thing I want you to do after you do your journal prompts, because I told you, family, this is shadow work, so we got a deep dive, right? So once you, go through those journal prompts, think about, the last thing I want you to think about is, write your feelings. But I want you to write your feelings down in third. I want it to be outside of your journal. Take out, get your piece of paper. I don't have any in here today, but I always like to have like a brown piece of paper. Miss T taught me that, my spiritual teacher. Check her out on Undisputed Truth. But anyway, shameless plug for my teacher, okay? My mother, I love her. But anyway, write it down, okay? Write this down. Write your feelings in third person, or as that child that you were, okay? Or that person that went through the abuse. Write it down in that mindset, family. That's what I'm trying to get you to think about, okay? Write down the feelings, how you felt. If you felt angry, write that down. Write that down. Write that down, right? I'm thinking through my own stuff because I've done this, okay? But I want you to do it, and I want you to do it full moon, okay? Write that down, whether it was how you felt when you was abused, how you felt when you was left, how you felt when you was angry, how you felt when you was alone, how you felt, write it down. Bring that anger out. Just how I'm tapping on my hand, that's the anger that I feel, okay? But I wrote it down on that paper. Don't have to be big. Don't have to be no long sentences. If you want to write a paragraph, just remember, the next thing I'm going to tell you, you might not want it to be too long, okay? But release those feelings on that paper, okay? Release those feelings on that paper. Write with something black, okay? And get you a black crystal. This is my black tourmaline spirit that I keep with me. You don't have to have, if you don't have the crystal, that's fine too. But, have your protection on you, okay? I have my black tourmaline around my neck today, okay? But write that down on that piece of paper. And this is what I want you to say. I release my past feelings and trauma held in my heart. Say it 3 times. I release my past feelings and trauma I held on my heart. I release my past feelings and trauma I held on my heart. You say that 3 times after you wrote it down, and you go get you a lighter and light that sucker on fire. Okay? If you got somewhere safe, family, you know, put it in something safe, burn it in something safe, and light that thing on fire. I'm lighting some Palo, but you know what I mean. Light that piece of paper on fire, like this Palo is on fire, and let it all burn, and look at it, and cry, and say amen, ashe, 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 whatever resonates with you, family. Say thank you to your ancestors, to the most high, to the divine. Thank you, God, you know, because you've released that energy, okay? And be proud of yourself. Give yourself a pat on your back, too, for doing this. We went through a lot on this video. I just seen 5-5, right? So that's about this change, this transformation. And family, don't forget, we got an event, 11/11, 7 o'clock at night. We're going to do some relaxing things together on the Zoom, okay? Where, you know, this event is a relaxing event. Anybody can join this, okay? You don't have to be spiritual. You can have your family, your kids, whoever. You just got to get your canvases and stuff from me, which you can do that on healthyexchange.org. The link is below this box on my link tree. That'll be there. It has all my handles on there, okay? So you can find me anywhere. And let's paint. We're going to do some painting, relaxing, talking, chit-chatting, drinking our little wine if you want to. If you don't drink, that's fine too, you know. But just to get together and have that positive energy, because we have to reinforce, we have to love on ourselves as well as others, right? We have to reinforce that love, because we want to get love. We got to put love out. We got to project that love as well. And we can do that by being interactive, the good vibes with each other. I'm going to be right here with my easel. I'm going to give you an easel in your package. It's an easel. So you'll have something to hold it on. You'll be able to choose whichever, you know, you want to, you know, whatever, canvas you would like, you know, I'll send it to you. The price has shipment in it, so it doesn't even matter where you're located in the world. I will get it to you. Now make sure you go on there and do it a little early if you far, you know, if you're real far, so it can get to you on time, because the event is 11/11, okay, at 7 o'clock in the evening, okay? And we'll go as long as you guys, you know, paint and want to show you what you did and chit chat and what you're going through. Just relax. Because that's all we want to do is relax and recharge sometimes. Sometimes it's just like, get by yourself and do this for yourself. And be able to, you know, talk to others who can relate to what you're going through, family. That's all it takes sometimes, to calm your mind. And painting is a part of therapy. It calms you, okay? So go with the Healthy Exchange and check that out. And this is a book, Spiritual Growth. Okay, for anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about your spiritual growth journey, this was referred to me by Brother Yourself as well. And I think it was one other person that I watch on YouTube talked about this book. So I had to have it, and it is amazing. Okay, so this is the book that I'm going to leave you guys with, Being Your Higher Self, okay, by Sanya Roman, okay? So check that book out, family. And let's see, I pulled one Carl Jung card for us. Since this is a part of the shadow work, his shadow work deck, right? And let's see what his message is for us today, and we'll wrap with that, okay? Because this one's almost going into an hour. Spirit, come through now and give us a message for the collective. We just need one outcome message, Spirit, in reference to what the collective has went through today on this shadow work video. How we have tapped in. Yes, it's not all fun and games, because we got to really deep dive into our buried wounds with Chiron, but give us a message for the collective based off of that Chiron energy, spirit, and this full moon that's in Aries that's here today on October the 9th, spirit. What does my collective need to know at this time, right? Give us a message about our shadow work and the things that we're going through. That wanted to pop. Okay. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. Carl Jung. These are philosophical insights. This kind of, I feel like, goes back to if one does not understand a person. And understanding a person is also understanding ourselves, okay? So Carl Jung is telling us one tends to regard him as a fool. So we have to look at ourselves as being a fool, right? Because we don't know ourselves. So we're fooling ourselves. This goes back to don't lie to yourself, family, right? So this message is for us. I'm going to leave you guys with that. I love you guys. And this card is green chakra, just like my nails. It actually matches my nails. And I wear this green. When I get this green, I always think about heart chakra as well, as it's attached to healthy exchange. That's what my colors for healthy exchange. But I love you guys. This is what I'm going to leave you with. And, you know, just remember to, you know, don't be hard on yourself, you know. Love on yourself, family. Love on yourself. And I'm going to leave you guys with that, and we will be on the next episode, okay? So, guess what it is? Healing with Keziah. Healing with Keziah. Healing with Keziah. Okay, family. Bye-bye.
Some rain must fall if I'm to ever grow.